I've taken a really long pause on my YouTube and podcast channel because I've been doing something really different to what I used to do to progress my French. Before I share with you what I've been doing to progress my French in a completely different way, I have to tell you what I used to do to learn French from DELF A1 to A2 level. Like many adult learners, I'm not a full-time student who can afford to concentrate on learning. I work in the UK and I teach Mandarin to the English-speaking primary students. I have a family with a multilingual child and I have a side hustle of selling Mandarin resources. Not to mention a YouTube channel as well as a podcast channel which talk about my love and my passion for French language and French culture. By the way, if you enjoyed this topic, could you please spend 2 seconds to subscribe to my channel so you can get to know more about the methodology I use to learn French so we can grow together. And this is kind of like a space or a community which groups everyone who loves French culture and French language. I live in England where there is no immersive environment for me to speak or listen to French easily. And I know a lot of people or friends coming from different countries in Europe, but interestingly there is no one from France. I have no idea why. The only French-speaking person I know is a colleague from North Africa, and I always urge her to speak French to me. So, with this limited time of learning French and this limited exposure to French environment, what I have done to progress my French level. I've actually done a video not long ago to share what I've done to learn French without living in France. You may want to check this out after this video. In a nutshell, apart from the online private lesson with my native French teacher 1 hour per week, I try to split my French exposure to small tasks and make it into the everyday routine. And I try to immerse myself in a pretended French environment. I didn't go to any formal lessons or what we called a language school with a group of students learning together. Honestly, I couldn't afford any time and efforts to sit down and study for a really long time. So instead, I turned my phone interface into French so as to force myself to read French words and listening to Google Maps in French. Look, you can actually do this. Like, ooh, yeah, and can you see the map? All the countries turn into French spelling, and then whenever you need to listen to the Google Map direction, it actually speaks in French language, so my listening can be improved through driving. So I listen to the French podcast when I'm cooking, and I watch the videos from the French YouTuber as well as the reels from the French influencers on Instagram while I'm dumb scrolling my social media apps. I even film myself speaking French in front of a camera every day just to journal my day, and I pretend that I'm sharing my day with a French friend, and it takes like only 10 to 15 minutes a day, and I promise you this is the best of the best way for me to practice my French speaking and my confidence. I've actually done the challenge of speaking French for 30 days and upload the video on my YouTube channel, and if you have not got a chance to watch that, you may want to check it out after this video. So everything seemed to be going pretty well. What else I've done differently to make myself disappear from YouTube for more than 1 month? It all started with my silly questions with my French private tutor, and in one lesson we were having a conversation about which boulangerie that she found the best in London and in the area that we live, because we kind of living in the same county in England. And I further asked her, based on my curiosity, that if she's seen any town or city which is most French in the UK. I asked that because I've been to Canterbury once just for a one-day trip, and I heard a lot of people speaking French. There were also some French like Ave. It makes sense because it's close to the border of Eurotunnel, so I just thought maybe there was a lot of French people living there. So she mentioned to me that she thought South Kensington in London is very French, with an exclusive French library and French cinema. A lot of French people literally live there. So I was really curious and I thought, Alright, maybe I can do a video about introducing South Kensington and go explore the French culture in London. That could be fun. So I did a bit of research and surprisingly, I found the website of Institut Français, and obviously I recall that it was the place I had my DELF A1 exam. So I browsed the website more thoroughly and discovered that there was actually quite a lot of different French language classes for French learners to join. So one course really caught my attention, which is the Saturday Express. It's a course for 5 consecutive weeks only, and there are different levels to choose from, so you can choose the course that suits your ability. And I could even take the assessment before I enrolled any classes.
Bonjour, vous vous appelez... Pourquoi vous êtes intéressé par le français?
Parce que j'ai étudié à Toulouse et j'aime la culture française beaucoup.
D'accord.
Oui.
Okay.
Et maintenant, j'habite en Angleterre et il y a beaucoup de chances que je voyage en France. Donc, je voudrais parler très bien français et je peux que j'habiterai en France un jour.
Oui, je comprends. Merci. Donc, est-ce que c'est possible de parler quelques minutes sur un exemple de voyage qui était intéressant pour vous dans la vie?
Oui, je peux essayer.
Oui.
Je voyagerai à Paris parce que j'ai une amie qui habite en France, à Paris, 2024, pour regarder les Jeux Olympiques.
Ah, super.
Oui. Et c'était très intéressant.
Nous, on va envoyer un email qui peut dire que vous pouvez commencer à un niveau B1. Votre écoute et c'est plus A2. Voilà, c'est mon école A2. Voilà, fin A2. Je vous en prie. Merci. Bonne soirée.
Bonne soirée. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
And to be honest, the main reason that I took the course was because I think the price was really reasonable. So I thought I could try something really differently and see if I could boost myself up to another level in a super short period of time. I haven't got a chance to travel to France last year, so maybe I could immerse myself in a French environment from 9:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. That would be fabulous. So without much consideration and hesitation, I just enrolled the course. This was the first day of school, and you couldn't imagine how nervous I was. I felt like I was on the way to an exam center, and you couldn't blame me as I really had an exam there before, so that was embedded in my core memory. So when I was on the way to London, I even studied my French notes to refresh the grammar, the vocabularies, and the conjugation. I left home at 7:30 and ride on a fast train which took around 35 minutes to arrive at London. To someone who used to work from home or work from school where it just took only 5 minutes to drive to work, this is exhausting. And then I still need to hop on the underground after arriving at London. After 20 more minutes, I finally arrived at South Kensington Station.
Open.
To be honest, I enjoyed the classroom environment as it was bright and spacious. There was only 15 minutes break in the morning and in the afternoon respectively, so we normally went for another cup of coffee or out for some fresh air. I love going out for a walk on my own after lunch or exploring the library with my classmates. So after this first day of lesson, I literally tried to journal my day in French. Let's try if you could understand the content without looking at the subtitle.
Bonsoir, c'était une journée entièrement en français
Et c'était le premier jour de mon cours de français à l'Institut Français à Londres. Et je suis partie de la maison à 7h30 ce matin et je suis arrivée à l'école à 9h15. Donc, je suis arrivée largement à temps. J'ai parlé avec une élève pendant un moment et j'ai remarqué que la professeure n'était pas encore arrivée alors qu'il était déjà 10 heures. Ensuite, il y avait une personne du personnel est venue nous dire qu'il y avait eu une erreur dont la professeure n'arriverait qu'à 12h30. Bien, vous savez, bienvenue en France. En attendant, nous nous sommes préparés et nous avons lu des tests et fait des exercices et j'ai déjeuné et puis je suis allée me promener et puis après, il était déjà 12h30. Le cours était très intensif et la professeure parlait uniquement en français et pas du tout en anglais, mais elle parlait plus lentement et spécial quand elle voyait que nous ne comprenions pas. J'ai beaucoup appris, mais maintenant je suis très fatiguée. Mais en même temps très satisfaite de cette première journée. Le cours s'est terminé à 16h30 et je suis rentrée à la maison vers 17h30. Demain, je me reposerai à la maison et ne travaillerai pas du tout. Bonne nuit à vous.
Qu'il est utile d'utiliser quand on parle au futur.
So as you're aware of my journal of the first day, the professor didn't appear in the lesson until the afternoon because of a communication error. I know this is rare and basically barely happened before, but still, they need to provide a make-up class to fulfill the lesson. So it was agreed to be an online lesson in a night that suits the timetable of all of us. And it was how the online lesson went.
Oui, alors est-ce que vous pouvez d'abord lire la phrase, s'il vous plaît?
Dans cette équipe, il y a 4 nationalités différentes et il n'y a aucun problème de racisme. Tous sont très tolérants avec les traditions des autres.
Alors, quelle est la valeur?
L'inclusion.
L'inclusion, la tolérance. Rachel, vous voulez bien faire la phrase A?
I didn't do this one.
Oui, d'accord.
After each lesson, we were requested to finish homework before the next lesson started. Well, as an adult learner, allowing myself to spend time on homework could be a luxury, so most of the time I finish my homework on train on the way to London. To reflect a little bit about this experience taking a course at l'Institut Français, I would say there were pros and cons, but overall I think it was worth it. Let me start with the downside first. Well, basically it's a school. It's a language school. So what you expect is a traditional method, for example, books, homeworks, and standard flows and logistic, and you cannot choose which teacher you prefer. So you get a good teacher or alright teacher based on your luck. It's location based, so you need time and effort and money to travel, but it's neutral because some people prefer face-to-face while some people don't. But in a group lesson, you could always gain more if you are with a nice group of classmates, which has good energy and good vibe. Say for example, if you are with a group of classmates who tend to be shy and passive, you will not dare enough to speak so much because sometimes you will be afraid of dominating the class. But then you would think, if I could not speak or ask whatever I need or like, how would I learn deeply? So in a group class, you need to care about other people. Also, even though if you stuck with something and you have already asked a lot but still couldn't understand it, you will not be sure whether you should keep going to ask because you don't want to interrupt the class or delay the learning for the whole class. So sometimes if I encounter these kind of things, I tend to figure it out myself after the lesson. I would ask the AI or search it up by myself or even ask my private tutor in the next lesson. But this problem will not happen in a private lesson because you can always dig into it until you truly understand. And the most important thing is the 5 consecutive long Saturdays really drained me. I didn't have the energy to do anything else. I only wanted to rest without doing anything, so I put aside all my hustle work, including YouTube, podcasts, and Mandarin resources. But there is actually a lot of good things about attending a language school or Institut Français, for example. If you've been following my channel, you know that over the past 4 years, I've been learning French on my own, using my own methods and private lessons once a week. I didn't have any peers to work with. The good side is that I could study at my own pace without any pressure, and I could still progress based on my characteristic, my schedule, and my ability. But the downside is I never knew where I was unless I went to take an exam to prove myself. And this was the reason why I took the Delphi 1 exam in 2024, not because I needed a certificate for anything, just because I wanted to know which level I belonged to so I had a target to work on. So studying in a group allowed me to know where I am, even though we are more or less on the same level, say A2, but still, we had different strengths and weaknesses. Say for example, I found that perhaps thanks to the speaking practice in front of a camera, as well as the speaking practice that my private tutor provided me, allowing me to speak a lot in lesson, I'm more confident to speak in front of the class. I'm happy that my accent and my speaking were not too bad, although I'm not fluent yet. At least I'm not scared about making mistakes, and I was brave enough to express myself, which I was really happy about. But on the other hand, my listening sucks. I couldn't fully understand what the professor talked about, even with just simple sentences, and sometimes I asked her to repeat again and again, but in a group lesson you wouldn't want to, and it felt a little bit embarrassing to keep asking, oh, could you please speak slowly, or could you please repeat répétez s'il vous plaît? And I know it was embarrassing. I know my vocabulary bank was not rich enough. Well, in private lesson, my French private tutor would support me with English when I was struggling and I couldn't understand. But in a group class where the professor only speaks French, it was completely different. So most of the time I needed to force myself to pay full attention in the class, and I had to get what she said based on the context. Well, it works sometimes, to be honest, but when we were doing the listening exercise, I couldn't really contribute a lot by giving out the answers. So after a long period of practicing French speaking, now I know my next target is to improve my listening skills. But the French people speak really quickly with the liaison, and by the time I was still processing what she talked about, and she has already finished the sentence and was waiting for my response. So I raised my concern and got some advice from the professor and the classmates, and they provided me with some really useful resources to improve my listening skill. I will definitely make some videos to share with you all in the future. Knowing new people who have the same passion as you make you progress faster by exchanging the knowledge and the experience with each other. I think this part was unexpected, and I find it the most valuable takeaway from the course. Also, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the price of the course is very competitive. The location is perfect and convenient. There's nice community support, and the facilities at the campus are fabulous. So by weighing the pros and cons, if you ask me again whether I would do it again, I will definitely do it again, but not continuously. My first goal before taking the course was that I hoped that I could immerse in a French environment, and I really did it. Sometimes, I even forgot to switch off my French speaking mode after the lesson, and when I was on the way home, I said Maxi to the people who were passing through. I reckon that some classmates I knew from the course who started from zero at l'Institut Français tend to take one course and then take a pause for 1 or 2 months, and then take another course one level up, and then take a pause for 1 or 2 months again. I found this strategy really effective and really interesting because by doing so, you will not drain yourself, but at the same time, you get the time to reflect and revise what you've learned during the lessons. This is so amazing, isn't it? Because as an adult learner, what you need to do is to find a way that suits you the best, rather than forcing yourself to learn something but that will eventually burn you out. And this is what we call consistency and effectiveness. And you know what? I've got extra bonus that I've got from the course. I surprisingly found out that as long as I have committed a course at l'Institut Français, I will automatically be offered a 1-year membership of the institute. This is absolutely amazing. I really love what are included in the membership and the facilities around South Kensington, which is named the most French area in the UK. I'll be sharing what I get from the membership, which includes the French cinema and the French library, so stay tuned. By the way, if you're here watching this video, you're probably someone like me, a French learner, a Francophile, someone who loves the language and the culture. So chances are our vision of French life overlaps in some way. That's why I'm very happy to share my vision board with you, which I created earlier for myself. They're free and are in both desktop and mobile versions. I'll put the download link in the description box below, so please do check it out. And before you go, please carry on watching my next video, which is to witness my speaking challenge of speaking French for 30 days. See you in the next video. Bye!